Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is our Thursdays 13 episode where we're dealing with all the technical difficulties, so get excited for a chaotic show. We're going to do a list on Steve Buscemi's most of his deaths, 13 of his deaths, probably the most gruesome and odd ones, something like that. This is Before Coffee. Steve Buscemi, not Dave. Who's Dave?
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
This is Before
Dave
Coffee,
Buscemi's
the
brother.
comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our news 10 to 15 minutes before we start, and we haven't had any caffeine. So let's get started with these headlines for today's show. Today on Before Coffee, Apple and Meta slapped with EU fines and queues for a farewell of the Pope. King of the Netherlands does a memorial service in Amsterdam.
This is Roger for the United States. What caused the massive wildfire in New Jersey? Plus, we're going to talk about why revenge quitting is set to be the biggest career trend in 2025.
Bluebells and other spring flowers are nature's antidote to stressful times.
And Donnie, you're out of your element. We're going to talk about the 13 times that Steve Buscemi died in movies and TV shows.
In culture news, mysterious medieval cemetery near Cardiff Airport reveals secrets of women, wealth, and odd burials.
Yes, and it's National Pigs in a Blanket Day. So if you got a pig in a blanket, well, you know what to do. And April 24th, 2025 on Before Coffee.
I love putting my pigs in a blanket. They get very warm, nice and snuggly and warm. So I learned recently that a lot of mother pigs just smother their piglets during the winter time. They get up, go get some food or something, come back and just sit where all their piglets are and just squash them like jelly beans.
Yikes.
It's amazing that they survive it all. Now, it's probably in the wild. It's probably better than that.
Well, that's because I think they have litters of 15 and stuff. So
yeah, it's like as long as one of them survives, I don't care.
Careless, inattentive mothers.
As long as one survives.
And of course, there's I think they'll have eight nipples. So it's kind of like if you have 9, okay. Well, guess what? Number 9 ain't getting the faucet.
All right, let's start with our segue wheel. Roll my segue here over my head. We've got the bad puns. Woo! So let's do that. Is this not working?
Bad puns. All right, I don't even have to write.
Yeah, we're gonna do some bad puns. So let me switch over here. My first story is about Apple and Meta being slapped with EU fines. Now, we've been talking about this, I think, for a year, that the EU is rolling out more and more regulations for social media companies. And you can't really arrest anyone for these things, so they just keep fining them more and more money until they start following their regulations. This is by Anupriya Datta and Magnus Lund Nielsen on Eurocitiv, coming out of Brussels. The European Commission imposed fines on American big tech juggernauts Apple and Meta on yesterday, the 23rd of April, amid spiraling trade tensions with the US government. The fines, which total 700 million euros, are the first to be issued under the EU's Digital Markets Act, which set out rules and obligations for the largest online platforms. Apple has been fined 500 million euros over the steering terms in its App Store that fail to direct users to offers in other app marketplaces, the Commission said after it issued a non-compliance finding in March last year. So this is when, they force you to use Safari or they force you to use the Apple Store and that kind of stuff. It's like you have no other options, no third-party options. You have to use, I don't know. I've never had an Apple phone, but I think you have like FaceTime. You have to use FaceTime. You can't use Google Talk or something or Zoom. You have to use FaceTime. An Apple representative said that the commission was unfairly targeting Apple in a series of decisions that are bad for privacy and security of our users, bad for products, and force us to give away our technology for free. The company intends to appeal the decision. Meta has been fined 200 million euros for its pay or consent advertising model for EU users, which its first use on Facebook and Instagram in November 2023. Oh, that sounds awful. It's like, oh, you can pay the premium, you don't have to, and we can use, if you pay for the Instagram, we won't use your data. If you don't pay for Instagram, we will use your data. I think that's what they're arguing here, the pay and consent. The commission issued a non-compliance finding against Meta's advertising model in March last year on the grounds that it forces users to consent to the combination of their personal data. The fine against Meta is an attempt to handicap successful American businesses while allowing Chinese and European companies to operate under different standards, said Joe Kaplan, Meta Chief's Global Affairs Officer. We don't care who owns the company. We don't care where the company is located. We are totally agnostic on that front, a commission spokesperson said following the announcement. But it is very typical of Americans to be like, this is because I'm an American, isn't it? That's why you're attacking me. No, it's actually because you broke the rules. No, since Americans grew up in dealing with prejudice their entire lives, that must be it. That's the only option. Fines under the DMA were determined based on gravity, recurrence, and duration of the breaches, a senior commission official said. However, there's no guidance on how to calculate a fine under the DMA, they added. The commission can impose fines up to 10% of the company's global turnover. Apple and Meta reported revenues of $342 billion, or $391 billion, and 143 billion euros, or $164 billion, respectively. Reminder that 1 billion is more than anyone in this world will ever see, and they're making hundreds of those, meaning the fines are far below the maximum possible. Yeah, oh no, $200 million? What will you do? How will you buy a lot next year? Both Meta and Apple have 60 days to comply with the two decisions or face periodic penalty payments. The US president, convicted felon, Trump, has previously threatened to retaliate with further tariffs if the EU were to fine US big tech companies. Go for it, dude. Despite being a significant first in the EU's digital regulatory agenda, the announcement was made via press release rather than by a European commissioner. Two who oversee the DMA, Teresa Rivera and Hannah Verkunen, were both absent during the announcement of the fines. Rivera is on a visit to Mexico, and Verkunen is visiting an AI factory in Germany. An AI factory? Wait, we're crafting AI now in a factory? Regulation will dictate how the U.S. companies interact with the consumers in the EU, who will face scrutiny from the U.S. administration, the White House said in February. Rivera, who is in charge of the bloc's competition policy, visited Washington, D.C. earlier this month to meet up with top U.S. officials. She said during the event that she would take bold action under DMA. At the same event, however, U.S. Federal Trade Commissioner Andrew Ferguson slammed the DMA as a form of tax against the U.S. tech firms. Well, if you're going to add tariffs, then we're going to add taxes, I guess. Today, fines have nothing to do with the tariffs. This is an independent decision. It's only focused on the DMA, a senior commissioner said. I mean, I do have to agree, you can probably politicize this a little bit, but they've been talking about doing this for like 2 years, right? Meta, Instagram, if you don't fucking follow our regulations, we're gonna fine you. Nah, they're just bluffing. They were not bluffing. You got a bad pun for me for that?
Yeah, we were talking about Meta, and of course my phone has never met an app it didn't like. Anyway.
Okay, I have another story here about the Pope's funeral. This is on NOS, a Dutch site. Pews for farewell to Pope King at a memorial service in Amsterdam. In Rome, long lines have been forming all day with tens of thousands of believers and other interested people who want to say goodbye to Pope Francis, who died on Easter. Well, I guess Easter, the day after Easter, or the second day of Easter.
Easter Monday.
What's the second day of Easter
Monday
called? I always forget. They celebrate it here everywhere in Europe, but America doesn't celebrate it. His body lies in the state in state in St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican City. Yeah, that's always the great place to look if you're looking for the Pope. He's probably there in the Basilica. Italian public broadcaster Rai reported that by the end of the afternoon, the waiting time has increased to 3 to 4 hours. According to the broadcaster, the line is still growing. More people have joined in the past few hours, probably because the hottest part of the day is behind them. It's like, yeah, I don't want to stand outside in, like, who knows how hot it is in Rome right now. For like 3 hours, just, heat stroke, my favorite. Volunteers hand out bottles of water to the interested parties that have gathered. Aid workers are also taking action for people who have not drunk enough water, and the atmosphere is otherwise orderly and calm, Rai reports. We've been standing in a long line since 1 p.m. this morning, but it was worth it, a mother and her daughter told the Italian broadcaster. We came here when Bergoglio was elected Pope, and we want to be there to greet him for the last time. The body of the late Pope Francis was carried to St. Peter's Basilica in a procession this morning. People can walk past the coffin. The basilica is open until midnight, but the Vatican says that due to great interest, the closing time may be extended. Yeah, we're closing at 4 a.m. When the decision will be made is not yet clear. Tomorrow and the day after, people will also have the opportunity to say goodbye. Tomorrow, the basilica.
Why do they have to close?
Yeah, I don't know. Just stay open. It's fine.
It's like the Pope's got to rest now. He's got to rest now. He's tired of being dead. Anyway.
Tomorrow the basilica will be open from 7 until midnight, Friday until 7 p.m., and after that, the coffin will be closed and sealed by the Camerlengo, the Pope's deputy, as Bishop of Rome. In Amsterdam, on the other hand, the death of the Pope was also commemorated. A special service was held at St. Nicholas Cathedral. King William Alexander and Minister Van Wale of Justice and Security were also present. The Minister of Justice and Security is also responsible for matters concerning religion and philosophy of life on behalf of the cabinet. The Pope's funeral is on Saturday. Oh, so this isn't even the funeral. This is just the viewing, whatever you call that. Whatever that part where people just look at your dead body and say things to you and say, I miss you, Dad, or whatever they say.
Yeah.
In addition to many interested parties, many heads of state and government leaders are expected in Rome. On behalf of the Netherlands, Prime Minister Schoof and Minister of Foreign Affairs Veldkamp will travel to the funeral. The city's government is expecting more than 200,000 visitors and is trying to make room for them. Squares are being set up for visitors. For example, large screens are being placed to follow the funeral. So, I guess if you want to see the Pope's funeral, make sure you get to Rome by Saturday. Otherwise, you're going to be too late. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going to be there. There's probably going to be a live stream as well, or something. There always is these days. That's my story.
My bad pun is, of course, he's being buried in Rome, and of course the Pope, who would like to travel, will no longer roam.
He's no longer roaming, indeed.
That's right.
I mean, I wish I could feel sad about death, but when somebody who's been sickly for months dies, I'm just like, okay, yeah, that was gonna happen.
Plus, he's in his 80s.
Yeah.
At least he's in his 80s, and he's going to be with Jesus. What are we supposed to be sad about?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the second day of Easter is commonly referred to as Easter Monday. In some traditions, it's also called Divine Mercy Sunday or Octave Day of Easter. In the Netherlands, it's known as Tweede Paasdag.
Twee Paasdag. Twee.
There you go.
Second Easter is what it's called. Paasdag is Easter, so second Easter.
Gotcha. Well, there you go then. There's what
that's why I've been calling
Easter
it Second
Month.
Easter. I was like, it's called Second Easter in English if you translate it directly.
Easter Monday is what you probably
Easter Monday, right? Yeah.
Okay, so
I've got a mixed metaphor for you. You can give me a story or multiple stories.
All right, on your last just makes me groggy. All right. So we're gonna cover the wildfires first. It's our more urgent story. This is from NewJersey.com or NJ.com. What caused the massive wildfire in New Jersey? What we do and don't know. This has been updated actually yesterday, last night. An investigation. This is from Eric Conklin. Is the name of the reporter. An investigation into what caused the massive Jones Road wildfire is underway, but officials have not pinpointed a cause for what could end up being one of New Jersey's largest wildfires in 2 decades. About 5,000 people evacuated on Tuesday were cleared to return home on Wednesday. Several community shelters, including 2 in Southern Regional and Manchester Township high schools, remain open Wednesday. About 100 firefighters on Wednesday continue to work to contain the South Jersey blaze. The fire was first reported at 9:45 a.m. Tuesday from a watchtower near Benegat Township. The fire spread throughout the day at Greenwood Management Area. As of Wednesday afternoon, it reached 12,000 acres in size and was 35% contained. Investigating possible causes, officials on Wednesday said the first work was identified where the fire started. From there, investigators will investigate possible causes. Officials have not determined that cause as of Wednesday. New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Commissioner Sean M. LaTourette reassured state fire officials will conduct a thorough probe. No, we're going to do a half-ass probe. That's what we're going to do, and then we're going to have some coffee and beer. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. When we do investigate and we figure out what happened, then we take action, LaTourette said. Officials didn't rule out any potential causes during a press briefing on Wednesday. Multiple agencies were investigating, the fire official said. I'm very confident it'll come with some sort of determination, New Jersey Fire Chief Bill Donnelly said. All right, we're placating people with platitudes. Great. The wildfire is expected to surpass its current size of 12,000 acres, which was reported Wednesday afternoon. Firefighters will focus on containing the fire with a focus on stopping it from spreading into unpopulated areas west of the Garden State Parkway. While smoke could be seen from many homes and residential areas around Route 9, the threatened numerous homes on Tuesday night, their fire was no longer much of a threat to those communities, state officials said. From an active fire management perspective, we have moved to the active fire west of this residential area. Rain isn't expected until the weekend, however. Not the first wildfire to happen here. In May 2007, a wildfire near where Jones Road wildfire began was caused by military exercise that ignited a fire that grew to 17,000 acres in size, Donnelly said. The 2007 Warren Grove wildfire in Southern Ocean and Burlington counties destroyed 4 homes while damaging another 50 and prompted evacuations. The state official said the 2007 wildfire extended from Warren Grove bombing range east to Garden State Parkway in Stratford and Route 72 in Stratford Forge. Why is there a bombing range in New Jersey? A little bit of a densely populated state to have a bombing range anyway. Anyway, there's your update of fires in New Jersey.
All right, here's my mixed metaphor for you. I already wrote one, and my camera froze, so you're just going to look at me leaning on my cheek. Speaking of which, their tears were rolling fire down the hills of a face. So there you go. Mixed metaphor.
There's your metaphor.
So instead of rolling down, the tears rolling, or as water rolling down. The tears, the cheeks, rolling down the cheeks. I don't know. It's a mixed metaphor. You can dissect it yourself.
You don't explain your metaphors, man.
Yeah.
Just let them.
Well, some people are not very metaphor savvy. You know, I get scared.
That's kind of like with puns. I'm a little slow at the uptake on those. You know, I'm like, what? Oh yeah, I got it. Okay, so in our next story, Harper's Bazaar has this one. It's called "Why Revenge Quitting is Set to Be 25's Biggest Career Trend," which I wouldn't call it revenge quitting. I just quit. I just quit because, you know what? You ain't paying me enough to suffer through this indignity.
But I think it's like this. Well, I guess you'll explain in the article what revenge quitting is. They usually do. Explain what it is.
All right. From Clara Strunk. If you're heading into your job feeling demotivated, burnt out, and resolved to send out as many new job applications as possible, you may be one of the growing number of workers who have decided enough is enough. The Glassdoor Work-Life Trends 25 report found that 65% of employees are feeling trapped in their current roles. Excuse me, hiccups.
Bless you.
Feeling trapped in their current roles.
Trapped
this
in
is
the
when
hiccups.
I talk without bringing enough air, right? I'm always expelling air and I don't bring enough in, so I gotta slow down or something. This has been the case. Okay, this Glassdoor Work-Life Trends 2025 report. Glassdoor is the site you go to when you hate your employer and you want to just rip them apart. That's where you go. Anyway, found that 65% of employees are feeling trapped in their current roles. This has been the case for some time. Poor career progression and salaries that fail to keep up with the rate of inflation have prompted an increase in unhappiness among workers. According to Glassdoor, employee satisfaction across a variety of industries has fallen over the last 2 years. Workplace cultures and behaviors in many organizations simply aren't where they need to be. No shit. They're usually awful. My last job, the culture was awful. There was just nothing but distrust, pettiness, and misinformation, no sharing of information. It's just like everybody was out to save their own jobs at somebody else's expense kind of thing. It's just terrible. Who can be the best snitch? That was basically it. Anyway, workplace cultures and behaviors in many organizations simply aren't where they need to be, says Viv Paxinos, CEO of career-focused Women Members Club, All Bright and Every Woman, an organization that connects women in business worldwide. Our recent All Bright Future of Work research revealed a concerning reality. The data shows that 43% of women are looking to step down from their roles, 73% are unhappy with their progression, and 43% feel entirely burnt out. In 2004, as resentment continued to build among the workforce against the backdrop of a slower job market and fewer opportunities to move on, many of us simply disengaged with our jobs in a phenomenon known as quiet quitting, doing the bare minimum required to roll simply to score a paycheck at the end of the month. I'm not sure 2024 had a slow job market. I'm pretty sure 2024 was a pretty brisk job market. Maybe not in finding a job you really want, but it's kind of incorrect in this article for them to assume that this was a bad job market last year. It wasn't. Anyway, however, most economic forecasters are predicting more profitable 25 with business confidence and hiring efforts expected to pick up. Why would they be doing that? I have no idea why they were predicting that. If that's the case, the new trend called the revenge quitting will be ushered in, whereby employees, emboldened by new opportunities, choose to finally throw in the towel. And in a post-pandemic age, women aren't just looking for better salaries and more impressive titles. I'm seeing huge workplace culture shifts with purpose and values, a sense of belonging and an inclusive and diverse working environment becoming increasingly important to employees, says Emily Button-Lynam, Emily Button-Lynam, the founder of EBC, a coaching consultancy. Paxinos agrees, adding that women are truly feeling the impact of poor workplace cultures and many reporting experiences microaggressions, lack of recognition, and barriers to advancement. Employees are increasingly looking for jobs with companies that offer matching values in a like-minded community, as well as an adequate pay, that all-important work-life balance. The pandemic forced many to reassess their relationships with work, leading to the realizations that the traditional hustle culture often comes at too high a personal cost, known as Paxinos. That, coupled with the social media amplifying and normalizing conversations about leaving toxic workplaces, had made people less willing to endure situations that impact their well-being. What should you do if you feel as if you're on the verge of revenge quitting? The key advice is not to make any snap decisions, especially driven by emotions, says Button-Lynam. I always advise my clients to spend time reassessing or assessing if leaving their job is the only option. A helpful exercise can be to ask what success means to you and explore the future life you want to be living and how the work you do now can elevate you to do that.
Yeah, success doesn't always mean making, $8 billion. For some people, success is I'm able to go to my garden for 1 hour a day and plant my plants, and that's success for me in life,
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yep. And if you can, tease out what you need to feel happier at work, whether that's more responsibility, flexibility, more money or recognition, and speak to your employer first. And if your employer's always bringing up how much money you make as part of your job, and it's like, you can't do that. It's just harassment. Paxinos is also an advocate for taking time to calmly. Paxinos is also an advocate for taking time to calmly think through your decisions. Strong emotions cloud your judgment, she warns. Pause to identify exactly what's triggering your feelings. Is it a specific incident, a pattern of behavior? Sometimes what feels like an insurmountable issue might have a workable solution if properly handled. There and your employer will fire you as soon as it suits their needs. So don't worry about any of that. I would just say rage quit and find a job you like. I wouldn't even care if I had another job lined up because exactly what I did.
I think a good thing to do is just like not quick right there, but like think until the next day and then quit, you know? Or if you've been thinking about it for months, right? Oh God, I hate this job. You know? Probably, yeah.
In my case, I was borrowing a phrase I heard a long time ago, which is, I'm one bad day away from retirement. And that's what I was. I was always one bad day, and I just took Social Security, which does not cover my expenses, but I don't care. I'll find a part-time job that helps cover my expenses, because I'm not going to work all of my time, spend all of my time, and the only recognition I get is criticism. No, thank you. No, thank you. Goodbye. If you experience harassment, discrimination, or ethical violations, these are clear red flags, said Exinos. If you're attempted to address the issues through proper channels with no response, or if the environment is impacting your mental health, and completely valid to prioritize your well-being. This thing that you can't find another job is ridiculous. You can find another job. If you feel tempted to revenge quit this year, remember the golden rule: to focus on yourself rather than trying to make a point or to deliver retribution, no matter how tempting it may feel at the time. After all, surely the best revenge is to make your decision from a place of strength and to move on an opportunity that better suits you, your values, and your career goals. As they say, the best revenge is to live well. Right? Your enemies do not feel your hate. They really don't. Some of them might even enjoy your hate. So, there's your revenge quitting article. Where's your metaphor? Or your mixed metaphor?
My mixed metaphor will be, I can read it because I wrote it down. Your boss's temper was a volcano, cut off in the wind, because you quit right there on the spot.
Yeah,
don't have to deal with that guy anymore.
Yeah, that's right. You know that meeting we're going to have? I canceled it. Yeah.
No more useless meetings for me, thank you. All right, let's roll the wheel again.
My revenge was to write a letter.
Yeah.
Explaining my unhappiness. Yeah, my unhappiness and my supervisor's total disregard for anything that actually makes anything work.
Yeah.
In other words, my supervisor was acting like he was in competition with the other parts of the company that were making money, instead of going, let's just make my job better. Let's make these employees feel like they have a stake in this. Instead of that, he's like, I'm not making enough money and I'm looking bad in the eyes of everybody else. And that's all that mattered to this fucking guy.
A very American Psycho point of view, huh? Have you ever seen the film American Psycho? He over-obsessed of the competitiveness, right, in the corporation he works in.
And instead of providing me with actual training, which is what I've got on every job, because even though you're an electronics technician, the equipment you're working on is all specialized. You got to learn every nuance of it. Instead of doing that, he just, we're not going to send you to training. We're going to try to save money. And in the act of saving money, ended up screwing me, which is, send me to a job where I got to just learn everything as I fail. Like, I can't believe you don't know this stuff. I'm like, yeah, you didn't train me. Anyway, on to your story, because I'm talking too much. Coffee.
Let's talk about, not only can you quit to relieve your stress, but you can also start gardening some bluebells and other spring flowers in order to nature's antidote for stressful times. This is by Rolf Kossert on AP News. Coming out of Belgium.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Oh, sorry. You're doing a non sequitur.
Oh, okay.
Gilles Guy, or is it Gilles Guy, was looking for a magical purple bluebell that raises their heads each spring under the budding beech leaves of the Hallebros forest. An annual explosion of color that draws crowds from around the world. And in these times full of stress and anxiety about wars, economic threats, and other tensions, he found something else too. A sense of tranquility. I noticed that there's a lot of silence in my head when I'm done, he said. Yeah, it helps me keep some peace in my mind. Really just take my mind away from everything that's going on. Spending time in nature, experts have long said, can be a balm in troubled times. From a stroll through a city park to a day spent hiking in the wilderness, exposure to nature has been linked to a host of benefits, including improved attention, lower stress, better moods, reduced risk of psychiatric disorders, and even up sticks and empathy and cooperation. That's the real thing we need to do. All those people without empathy, go outside. Learn about animals and the cruelty of nature. This was from a 2020 article in the American Psychological Association. These are extraordinary times, said Ignace Glorio, a sociology professor at Brussels University, adding that the under 30 generation in particular is under pressure of the world ending, and they're the only ones who can fix it. Yeah, wait, I'm over 30. I'm not under pressure anymore, guys. Woo! Yeah! All pressure. I'm over 30. Haha, it's all you under 30 people who have to deal with it now. Anyways, this is also the generation that maybe suffered the most from the COVID crisis, Glorio said. And now they come into a situation where there's a lot of international uncertainty, so especially this group, maybe more than that, the older generation, is suffering from that and feels very uncertain about the future. Guy, 26, knows that Glorio is talking about. I don't know a lot of people my age who are worried. And also, I do know a lot of people my age who are worried and also with financial situations going on, who try to keep level heads, but it's very hard for them, he says. During the pandemic, the Bluebell woods were closed off a fear that the throngs of people would make a hive of transmissions instead of a haven of peace, which, even though it was outside. Give me a sec, my freaking camera broke again, man. Today, that's what today is. It's my camera breaking. Every 2 seconds.
Which camera?
I'll try to fix it during the next story. I make a lot of face expressions, so I like to be able to see myself do that when I edit this later. You can do it. I believe. There you go. Thank you, camera. Right, where were we? So there was, during the pandemic, Bluebell woods were closed off for fear that throngs of people would make it a hive of transmission instead of a haven of peace. Restrictions kept some parks under seal and mandated masks in some others. It was a difficult period for everyone. Mark Demise, a former member of the European Parliament and gardening enthusiast, and city councillor in Halle. Okay, we get it. He does a lot of stuff. He's walked in the woods for decades in Halle. Now, at least, nature is there to welcome those with anxious minds. My freaking camera froze again, dude. I'm so...
No.
I don't know why it's doing this. Just stop it. Get some help. I feel like it must be my computer or OBS or something. Nope, that didn't work. They're in the wrong direction. No, it's not even reactivating now. I'm going insane! I just want to read this story, please. I don't want to have a weird face and freeze frame the whole freaking story, man. Stop doing that. You're supposed to be advanced, camera. Why did I buy this expensive camera if he's gonna do this? Okay. It was a difficult period for everyone. Mark Demise, a former member of the European Parliament and gardening enthusiast and city councillor in Halle, where he walked the woods for decades. Now at least the nature is there to welcome those with anxious minds. These bluebells, but in other times of the year, yes, walking here, the forest valleys, the wildlife, the forest streams, you know, they work in your mind all year round. It's really a big green hug that you get here, Demise said. The hug from nature is just about everywhere right now. Japan is awash in seas of cherry blossoms, which mesmerize people around the world. Bluebell season also coincides with the prime tulip seasons in the Netherlands. The renowned Kokenhof garden, there has been a playground for influencers and those seeking the ultimate selfie. The Kokenhof and the Dutch Tourism Board suggest good spots to make your image come alive. The Glorio, that's where the 21st century humans push it too far. Wait, to Glorio, that's where the 21st century humans push it too far. We have to be busy all the time, even on our leisure time, he said. We have to perform. Oh yeah, we have to take our Instagram pics. We gotta remind people, hey, look how great my life is. I better look at a great place to make an angle to take a good photo. Why don't you just look at the flowers and go home? I don't do that a lot. I have to remind myself to do that since I'm a social media personality, but yeah, I just tend to not. Nobody cares that I'm at Koken. No one cares that I'm at the canal. No one cares about this. Why am I taking pictures of this? Instead, he advised, focus. Yeah. If you go out walking, focus on walking. If you go out jogging, focus on only jogging. Such advice was not wasted on Philippe Theory, 64. Well, it's probably easy for somebody who's 64 to do that than somebody who's like 26, who's grown up as an iPad baby. A southern Belgian recently retired and ready to embrace the rest of his life. He had no phone, and as he set off into the sunshine to look for the bells, I don't want to use it here because I just want to relax, he said. I mean, just to see the flowers and the sea and to listen to the birds. I want to be disconnected. There's my story on the bluebell forest in Belgium and also the other pretty places you can go. And if you're feeling stressed about life, just go outside for an hour, walk around, watch the birds and the trees, and maybe you won't feel so bad. And probably will still be bad, but it won't feel bad. That's what's more important, to make your self feel less connected to all the issues that are stressing you out right now. And I think another thing that they didn't mention here is the idea that winter can be pretty depressing. I'm definitely a seasonal depression sufferer myself. And there's just something so refreshing about plants coming back alive and birds chirping in the trees and animals skittering and scattering across the ground that, you just don't really get in the winter. The winter can give you that nice silence, that peaceful, calming sound, because there's just like no noise. But for the spring, it's just finally feels like everything's alive again, I guess.
Right. I guess my non sequitur is to just turn off your phone, man. I mean, and you don't have to film everything. I was thinking about this when I was driving across country. Maybe I'm a YouTuber. Maybe I should film every last inch of this. And I'm like, when am I going to edit that?
That's a very important thing to point out. Yeah. If you don't have the time to edit it, don't film it. Because you're just going to feel bad about it.
I spend all day filming. Yeah. And I stop for the night, and it's like, I gotta go to edit that video I just took so I can post it on YouTube before I go to sleep. And you don't get any sleep, and then you spend the next day driving with no sleep. So yeah, I was just like, no, we'll just get this trip over with. I'll take a picture here and there. That's about it.
You take a 30-second clip, say I'm in this state, and then post that without no editing needed. I just went through Nebraska. The end. You don't need to make a long ass video about your.
And I was having trouble charging my phone because the vehicle USB port was doing only a trickle charge.
I had the same problem
until I found out that my internet router, my 5G router, has the same connector as my cell phone, so I can use that to charge it, and it charges it right up.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah.
I have a non sequitur too for your story.
Day 4 of my trip. Okay, my story is about one person, basically, Steve Buscemi, actor Steve Buscemi. If you don't know who that is, think of Big Lebowski, Donnie, or if you watch The Sopranos, or if you watch any...
if you've ever seen a film, he's probably in it.
He's in a lot of Coen Brothers movies, and he's in a lot of Adam Sandler movies. He's one of Adam Sandler's best friends, so...
He's in Spy Kids. He's the wacky scientist in Spy Kids too.
Although that's not part of this, but the list is the 13 times that Steve Buscemi died in a movie. He's famous for dying in the movies in a lot of bizarre ways, and I don't think he's died the same way twice, but he probably has. Okay, so our list starts out at number 1, which is going to be Boardwalk Empire. If you're a movie, Boardwalk Empire, which was a HBO series. It followed the adventures of Nucky Thompson, who was the de facto mob leader of Atlantic City. Actually, Nucky Johnson was the actual real character's name. Anyway, Nucky Thompson gets shot in the very last episode. Spoiler alert. It was on for, I think, 5 seasons. And, of course, you knew he was going to die at the end. even though, like, yeah, it's a historical figure, so he has to die, right?
Mm-hmm.
They changed his name and they changed a lot of the details, but he did die, and he was shot on the street of Atlantic City. There's your spoiler alert. I won't tell you who shot him, though. Number 2 is Lonesome Dove. Lonesome Dove was a story about these 2 Texas Rangers. It was a miniseries on TV. It was about these 2 Texas Rangers who were retiring and moving to Montana. And Steve Buscemi plays one of the ancillary characters named Luke, who is scalped by Apaches out there in the prairies of Texas somewhere. So there's your death for Steve Buscemi in that one. And number 3 death is Fargo, one of the Coen brothers movies he's in. He's in quite a few. And there's, I think, all of them. I think he dies at all of them. Anyway, Fargo, of course, Fargo is the one about the guy who's trying to stage a kidnap of his wife so he can get some of his father-in-law's monies, and he hires Steve Buscemi and his partner to kidnap his wife, and everything goes wrong. Anyway, in Fargo, he plays Carl Showalter, and Carl ends up in a wood chipper. But that's not how he's killed. He's killed with an axe. His partner kills him with an axe. These are all spoilers, folks, so if you want to see these movies, I'm not giving away the end, I'm just giving away how Steve Buscemi leaves the movie, right? Number 4 is kind of a asterisk because he doesn't die in it technically, and it is an Adam Sandler movie called Grown Ups, where Steve Buscemi is a running gag. He doesn't die in the movie, but he gets in several horrific accidents, one after the other, and ends up in a body cast. And eventually, I think he's pretty much he plays, who does he play? Hold on a second. I just erased something by accident. Okay. He plays Wiley in Grown Ups. Number 5, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead is the name of the movie, which is the name of a Warren Zevon song. So the song, I don't know if the movie came first or the song came first. But either way, Steve Buscemi plays Mr. kind of an assassin, kind of a killer. And of course, he ends up getting shot in the movie. And though they don't necessarily show him dying, you don't really survive getting shot in the guts with a shotgun. And number 6, The Big Lebowski. Probably my favorite of this list. Another Coen Brothers movie featuring Donnie. Steve Buscemi as Donnie. Donnie doesn't have a lot of lines, and most of his lines are non sequiturs. They have nothing to do with anybody he's talking about. So the entire movie is John Goodman's character, Walter, telling Johnny to shut the fuck up. Donnie, of course, dies in the movie. He dies in the movie of a heart attack. So he's not murdered, but he symbolically dies. And of course, one of the funnier scenes in the movie follows. Number 7, The Sopranos, another HBO show. HBO loves Steve Buscemi too. Not only does Adam Sandler and Coen Brothers love Steve Buscemi, but hey, HBO loves him because not only was he on, they gave him an entire series called Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
He was also on The Sopranos for a while. Of course, he was killed by Tony Soprano as kind of a mercy killing. So that's how he met his end there. And number 8 is a movie called Desperado, where he is stabbed to death. He plays a character unnamed character, so he's basically just there to be Steve Buscemi in a movie getting stabbed. I think he's just in that movie to die, and that's I get to die in another movie. So there you go, Desperado. Number 9 is the animated, where he's not his actually physical self, but his voice. In season 5, episode 3, he plays a character called Eddie in Rick and Morty, where he's burned up after having his finger bitten by Morty. So I intended to watch that episode. I think I will watch that episode after sometime today. Number 10, The Dead Don't Die, which is a zombie movie. And of course, he plays Farmer Frank Miller, who is eaten by zombies.
Oh, no.
Necessary new way to die for Steve Buscemi to die in a movie. Get eaten by zombies. Number 11 is Miller's Crossing, another Coen Brothers movie, where he is shot in the face. He plays Mick LaRue, who is shot in the face in the 1990s Miller's Crossing. Number 12 is another Coen Brothers movie called Barton Fink, starring John Goodman, John Turturro, the usual cast, of course, Steve Buscemi. These guys are in a lot of Coen Brothers movies. He plays Chet, and he probably went up in flames when the hotel burned. So he dies in Barton Fink too. And number 13 is a gangster movie, kind of in the vein of Goodfellas, if you've ever seen that movie, called Billy Bathgate, where he plays a character named Irving that is shot. So there's your stories, your movies, your Steve. He was not in Goodfellas. No, sorry. Goodfellas was a Scorsese movie. I don't know if Steve Buscemi's in any Scorsese movies, but he's definitely been busy his entire career, and he's always playing somebody who's about to have a something happen to him. Let's put it that way.
Isn't that
so there's your list. You got anything to add? Of course, Steve Buscemi, famously, one of those guys who, before he was an actor, was an actual firefighter. And a lot of people know this. He was a firefighter in Long Island, and he's one of those guys that 9/11 was down there at Ground Zero, pulling debris up, trying to find people. So Steve Buscemi, just not like a low-life scummy actor. He's a real person who does real things. So, and he probably shortened his own life by doing that. Think about that. So, anyway, there's your Steve Buscemi update on how many movies he died in. There's probably a few other ones, but those are the 13 I found.
Well, what we've learned here is that if you see Steve Buscemi, you know to expect death, I think, and
just get out of the way.
Just avoid him, honestly. Actually, don't watch any of his films.
We can watch his films. They're not going to kill you.
I'm determined they are going to kill me. I'm scared. That's your non sequitur.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Let's roll our segue. Right. Oh, wrong button. Here we go. Another segue for my culture segment, where my camera will probably deactivate again in the middle. Alliteration headline for, well, a mysterious medieval cemetery. That's already 2 M's for you right there. This is from Theo Ferrant on Euronews Culture. A medieval cemetery discovered in Wales is continuing to baffle archaeologists, revealing a community of women buried with signs of wealth, including a mysterious outcast thrown into a ditch. Discovered last year near Cardiff Airport in Wales, a rare 6th and 7th century site revealed dozens of skeletons in unusual positions alongside several surprising artifacts, leaving archaeologists scratching their heads. Now, recent findings deepen the mystery as research shows most of these buried were women, with their bones showing signs of manual labor, yet also evidence of wealth and luxury. A particular surprising discovery is the body of a woman tossed into a ditch, contrasting with the others buried with great care. Every time we think we understand something else crops up and the picture gets more intriguing. Andy Seaman, from Cardiff University, told the BBC. Excavations of about half the site, located in a field at Fonman's Castle, has uncovered 39 adult skeletons, nearly all female except for one. Dr. Seaman remains unsure of the significance, suggesting that it may represent a particular community or specific section of a larger cemetery. 2 children's skeletons were also found, an unexpectedly low number given the high infant mortality rate at the time. The graves have peculiar features, including darker, more organic backfill, hinting at a delay between their burial and that of the adults. Artifacts found at the site include shards of pottery and fine etched glass likely imported from Levant in southern France, suggesting the community held significant status. So these are rich people, but they're also not rich people. Thank you, Mandy, for stopping by. Each person was buried with care, some laid flat, others crouching, all facing east to west. The woman in the ditch remains an anomaly, possibly an outcast or a criminal. Her bones are to be researched at the lab at Cardiff University. We're hoping to tell the story of the individuals within the cemetery, but also the broader community, Seaman told the BBC. We know a lot about the lives of kings and queens, but not much less about the everyday people. Never before, really, have we been able to explore a single community in so much detail and all the interesting interrelationships. It's a short one, but there you go. We've got some skeletons and some...
Oh, boy.
Only 2 children died in that area, so that's interesting. And I'm sure we'll have maybe some more. I don't know. I'll try. I would say I'll keep my eyes on the story, but who knows if I'll ever find out. Probably be years before they're like, we've determined this is what that place was. We have to go look in our history, I guess. You have an alliteration for me?
Garish graveyard gotten to, or garish, fancy, right? There it is. I needed 3.
Garish indeed.
Garish graveyard gotten to. There's not a good synonym for found that starts with a G.
All right.
Gotten to.
One of these stories in this day in history is going to remind me of a song.
When I did send you a video, in case I didn't mention that.
I've had that for 7, the whole show, I think, is when you sent it to me.
Okay. It's been a long show. What can I say? Okay, this day in history, we're going to rip through this day in history. April 24th, way back in the year. Oh, let's see. Where are we going to? We're going back to 1792. French Army officer Claude Joseph Roguet de Leslie composed La Marseillaise, a French national anthem. The French national anthem is called La Marseillaise.
Marseille.
Marseillaise. That's not Marseille. Marseille.
The S is definitely silent in French, but I don't know.
Marseillaise. 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 I don't know. Speak French. Anyway, that's the name of the song. In 1800, the Library of Congress was officially founded as U.S. President John Adams, remember him, approved the $5,000 appropriate to acquire such books as may be necessary for the use of Congress. It eventually became the largest library in the world. Apparently it has every book. In 1877, war broke out between Russia and the Ottoman Empire at the conclusion of the Serbo-Turkish War, resulting in the independence for Serbia and Montenegro. That was in 1877. 1898, Spain declared war on the United States. That was kind of a weird thing that happened there. The USS Maine. The USS Maine got blown up by a boiler, and they blamed it on the Spanish, who started a war over it. Actually, William Randolph Hearst's reporters started a war over it. In 1904, painter William D. Koenig, one of the leading exponents of abstract expressionism, was born in Rotterdam, Netherlands. Happy birthday to him. 1905, American novelist, poet, critic Robert Penn Warren, who was best known for his treatment of moral dilemmas of the South beset by erosion of his traditional rural values. Traditional rural values. What is that, owning slaves? Anyway, in 1916, members of the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army seized strategic points in Dublin during the Easter Rising, which heralded in the end of British power in Ireland. Beginning of the Troubles. Well, during the Troubles, as they call it. 1949, communist forces occupied the Chinese capital of Nanking after crossing the Yangtze River, virtually unopposed by adherents to the nationalist government or President Chiang Kai-shek, and basically it was the beginning of Maoism in China. 1967, Soviet cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov became the first man to die during a space mission when his spacecraft became entangled in its parachute during an attempted landing. That sucks. Freaking parachute malfunction. You go to space, you're coming back, but the trip's over. Sorry, your trip's over, but you're also over because your parachute got tangled and you just went into Earth like 1,000 miles an hour or whatever. 1980, U.S. forces launched a mission to rescue American hostages in Iran, but the attempt failed and 8 U.S. service members were killed. Of course, they blamed Jimmy Carter because, of course, he's the one that crashed the helicopters. Of course, We won't blame. It's funny how people blame people for certain things and they don't blame other people for certain things when they're held the same job, right? It's funny. It's just funny. Of course, these people are full of shit. 2003, North Korea informed U.S. diplomats that it had nuclear weapons and was making bomb-grade plutonium. Doesn't mean they were telling the truth. It just means that they told the U.S. they were doing that. In 2004, American businesswoman Estee Lauder died in Manhattan. She co-founded a hugely profitable fragrance and beauty company, and she died in this day in 2004, 21 years ago. Our featured event, 2005. Has it been that long since 2005? On this day in 2005, Pope Benedict was installed, not the one we just got rid of. This is the one. He was a successor to John Paul II, who quit. The only pope during my lifetime to quit. Anyway, Pope Benedict XVI, who was a Nazi youth apparently in his youth, formally assumed his position as a new leader of the Roman Catholic Church during a mass at St. Peter's Square in Vatican City. So right now they don't even have a pope. We just got a guy on display. Our feature biography, Barbra Streisand. Barbra Streisand's birthday today. She was born April 24th, 1942. She's turning 83 today. Happy birthday to Barbra Streisand. She was born in New York City. That's a big city. Lots of people born there. Anyway, happy birthday to Barbra Streisand. Other birthdays today. Richard Donner, American director, born in 1930. Shirley MacLaine. It's Shirley MacLaine's 81st birthday. 91st birthday. She was born in 1934. Happy birthday to Shirley MacLaine, who's still alive. Barbra Streisand, birthday. She's still alive. She's just turning 83, so she's in her 80s. Sachin Tendulkar, Indian cricketer, born in 1973. I'm not sure what he's doing. He's probably not playing cricket. He's 52 today. Kelly Clarkson, American singer-songwriter, birthday. She was born in 1982. So Kelly Clarkson was born on Barbra Streisand's birthday. Also on Shirley MacLaine's birthday. I'm making sure Shirley MacLaine is still alive. I'm pretty sure. Shirley MacLaine. Still alive. So happy birthday. Is it today? National Day calendar. It's National Neck Care Day. So if you care about Shirley MacLaine, she's 91 today. National Neck Care Day today. So take care of your neck. It's the only one you got, I guess. It's National Bucket List Day. So if you break your neck, that's the end of your bucket list, I guess. Bucket list, of course, is a thing that became famous a bunch of years ago. You're going to kick the bucket, as the old metaphor goes, for dying. Make a list of things you're going to do before you die. But I'm not an advocate of that because it seems like I'm waiting to die, and that's all I am doing now. That's what it seems like to me. I'm just waiting to die, so let me do something before that happens. Nah, man, you might live another 50 years, you know? So plan for that. Anyway, it's also National Pigs in a Blanket Day. It has nothing to do with pigs. It has nothing to do with blankets. It's a pastry you'll wrap around a little tiny mini hot dog and eat it. So there's your pigs in a blanket.
Sometimes you can even put bacon over it too. Just double the pig. Yeah, pigs in a blanket actually, at least in America, you wrap them in bacon. This one, they're just pastries. So, nah. Your ordinary pigs in a blanket. It's National Teach Children to Save Day and National Teach Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day. So you can do both of those at the same time. Teach your children to save. It's like you have money, you don't have to spend it right now. There's things called rainy days where you might not have, a credit card or something to sell. So try not to spend all your money as soon as you make it. So those are your days, those are your spins of the wheels, your mispronunciations, your lists, everything. April 24th, 2025 on Before Pigs in a Blanket. Hey! That reminds me of a song, Only the Good Die Young, by Billy Joel.
Yes!
There you go. And,
are you saying
all the bad people die old. So If you died young, you're a good person. Confirmed.
Shirley MacLaine, obviously not a good person.
Obviously, yeah. It's
Orange
also
Barbara Streisand.
a handful of UN international observances today, including International Girls in ICT Day, which is actually also supported by the ITU. I don't know what ITU means. International Tech University? I don't know.
Uniform.
International Girls in ICT Day is all about... I don't know what this means. Everyone is invited to celebrate Girls in ICT Day. What does ICT stand for? Somebody tell me what it means. Information technology, I guess. ICT.
Yeah, must be it.
So girls in in technology.
Internet.
Celebrate those guys.
Yeah.
Or those girls, I guess.
Just celebrate.
Today.
Just celebrate girls all together.
Celebrate girls
and
today.
children.
It's also International Day of Multilateralism in Diplomacy for Peace. So that would be, what is that? Let's look what that is. Multilateralism is often defined in opposition to bilateralism and unilateralism. Okay, that checks out language-wise. Strictly speaking, it indicates a form of cooperation between at least 3 states. So instead of the US and the UK, it's also the US, the UK, and France. Something like that.
Whoa.
So let's celebrate doing that, working together with more than 2 states, and striving for peace.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, it's going to be World Immunization Week from the 24th to the 30th of April. So until next Wednesday, make sure you're immune to viruses and diseases. That's right. This is another 15th of us telling you, please get vaccinated. Literally, you're protecting yourself and others. Why is that so hard to ask? Oh, I don't want to protect other people. I don't want to care about other people. Immunize yourself towards stuff like measles and all the other things that people are trying to bring back for, like, I don't know, a 2.0 experience. Do that. This has been Alston here from the Netherlands, Roger from the East Coast of the US, as we tie up another Thursdays 13. I hope you enjoyed our list. I hope you have some ideas for some Steve Buscemi films to go watch after this show. We will see you tomorrow for our Friday's news dump, where we'll dump all the news you need to hear before the weekend, so you don't gotta worry about it. Take care of yourself, have a good one, and here is our mic drop moment. And of course my camera's frozen again.
Huh? You think we just gonna
stop and we pause?
No, we keep watching, don't worry about it.
You look like your house nigga punk. Will you shut the fuck up for 11 seconds? Let's go.
Please.
Shut the fuck up for 11 seconds.
Cooperate and no one gets hurt.
This is from Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead.
Bitch.
Oh, here we go. Oh no. Steve's got a gun.
Put the gun down.
Don't be crazy, Steve.
Don't.
You better let that motherfucker go. You better get this motherfucker off of me. Fuck his ass up, huh?
You tell me where he is.
Wow, you're letting this little white boy hold you down? Oh no, it's going down! Explosions from the arcade machines.
The scene where Steve Buscemi doesn't die, but everybody else does.
Yeah, I think his body shield also got shot there.
It's cool.
Right.
It's like, I don't even have a gun, dude.
A choice. You could tell me where Earl Denton is, or you could tell it to the worms.
Go to the worms.
Uh-oh.
There he is.
I found him.
He's hiding like a motherfucker. Yeah.
That was a good one.
In case you're curious.
Usually
he plays
Steve
a killer in that one.
Usually Steve can be pretty goofy, but that was a pretty serious. I think in Boardwalk he's also pretty serious.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, history of gravy, and scratchy old records.